Hey everybody, Luxinda Swirl here. Alright, this is a slight departure for me from the usual resin stuff I've been doing lately. I was contacted by the fine folks at MONVICT Full Size Hot Glue Gun, available on Amazon. I will link to everything below, especially their glue gun. They asked if they could send me this to try out and if I would do a video giving my honest opinion. And that's what we're here to do today. I do use glue guns, maybe not so much with the resin cups I've been making, but I also dabble in other forms of mixed media, I guess you'd call it. And I do have occasion to use a glue gun. So I said, sure, I'll try it out. So I have a couple ideas, a couple things I'd like to try, but first let's unbox this because I haven't even opened it up yet. So let's see what we have. Inside we have our glue gun. Take it out of the bag. So there's the glue gun. And we have some instructions, how to use, inserting the cord, switching the power on, preheat for 2 to 5 minutes. After preheating completely, start your project. You can detach the power cord for using it cordless. The longer you plug it in, the longer the cordless feature can be used. To save glue sticks and no dripping, please shut off the power a few minutes before you stop use. So what I took some time to read some reviews on their Amazon page. And the one thing that was mentioned is the cordless feature has some people a little confused, I guess. This isn't cordless in that it has its own battery system in the handle or something like that, where it would keep having an energy source so you could keep using it without the cord plugged in. What they mean by cordless is that they have made it very simple to detach the cord so that once it's completely heated up, you can then take the cord out and continue using it as long as the glue is still hot and comes out. So one of the things I want to test is I want to see how much time we get. Once we fully heat it up, I'll test it out, put it through a couple of paces of things, and then we'll take the cord out and we will see how much longer I get to keep using it, in effect, and hot glue will continue coming out. There is an instruction booklet, which is the longer version of the little card they include. And also included are some glue sticks and some finger cut protectors, which I very much appreciate because burns from the hot glue can be really bad. I got these a while ago for using with a different glue gun, so I had these as backup, but then I saw on their description of what was in the box that they included these, so this is fantastic. Now, just getting a little closer here, we have an on-off light, so when it's plugged in and turned on, I believe this light will be red. And we have a dual power system. So right here in the middle of this rocker switch, it's off. If you want the lower of the two heat settings, you push it up, so you're pushing it toward the single line. And if you want it to be higher, you're pushing it down toward the double line, and that is more heat. I believe the two are 80 watts and 120 watts. And it also explains that about pushing towards the single line for the 80 watt setting and towards the double line for the 120 watt. So, and then back to the middle to turn it off. And the only other thing to do, really, is to plug it in, insert a glue gun, and turn it on, and then we will do some testing. Okay. So let's just see if the light comes on when I turn it on. Yes, it does. And that's off. And oh, it's a slightly different color when it's pushed downward. So depending on which heat setting, you have either a yellower light or a redder light. Red is low, yellow is high. Okay, now I will insert a glue stick. Okay, we're gonna turn it on. I turned it to the low setting. And we're gonna let it sit for 2 to 5 minutes. I will come back in 5 minutes. And we're back. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I have smelled something going on here, something hot. So I'm guessing it's, yeah, it's been heating up. So let's do our first. There we go. All right, it's got a really nice long or extended space for the trigger. So there's a lot of glue you can get out in just one pull on this, okay, which saves you having to use your hand to do a lot of triggering to get the glue out. I like that very much. The flow is good. It's coming out. It's steady. This is wonderful. This is on the low setting, not the high one. And we're already into the end of that. I am going to stick the second one in. All right, so one of the things I wanted to see, because I've been reading, I've been doing a little research. Some people use hot glue as a quick replacement for resin, actually. The theory being that you don't need to always mix up your part A and part B resin for a little mold if you need one little embellishment or something like that. I'm very excited that you could do this. So in theory, if I wanted to make a Halloween book of shadows, which I do, that's a project in my head for sometime in the future, and I know there are a lot of YouTube videos out there on them, so it's not an original idea, but you can either do this right onto an old book that you're using as your prop, or you can do it here, pull it off. This is a piece of parchment paper. You can pull it off like I did with this one and place it wherever you want it. So we'll just pretend that this is the corner of my book and also the corner of the spider web. And then clearly practicing would be a good thing for me to do. It's nice though. I like the fact that I can, this is all, every strand has been with one pull of the trigger. So I like that feature a lot, that you get a lot out. Okay. Again, practice makes perfect. I'd like to do the, let's try another one. Move that off to the side. Let's see here. It is going through these glue sticks very quickly, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I'm getting the amount I want, but it's already time for another one. So this is glue stick number 3 I'm putting in here now. Just keeping track. It does go through glue and it is dripping a little bit. This is the high setting now. Okay, not too shabby. And put those aside. Test them out. I have just an old envelope here. So now we're gonna do, this has been on and it's been on the high heat setting for at least a couple minutes now. So I am going to remove the power cord. The light goes off and we'll see how much time we have. start a timer here. Okay, I set it for 20 minutes. I don't expect that amount of time, but we'll see what we do get. Okay, it is starting to get a little harder now. I seem to be getting a little less flow for my trigger pulls here. Still working though, but I am pressing harder to get the trigger to pull back. I am squeezing the trigger harder to get the glue out is what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's almost more than I can do at this point. Getting really hard and it's not advancing. Oh, I've run out of another stick. Okay, we're gonna move on to my colored one now, which won't come out in this part of the experiment, but it'll move it forward in the... Okay, I'm gonna call it. At this point, I'm pressing a lot and getting very little glue out. Yeah, okay. The gears aren't holding it, so we are at... Okay, that was about 4 minutes. This is not very scientific, I apologize. So I could say that we got a good 4 minutes out of that. And now I'm gonna need to plug it back in and let it reheat. And the other thing I thought we'd try, this is a leftover piece of fondant mat. It's a silicone mat with a design on it. Cake decorating, candy decorating, you can do it with chocolate. I was going to try it with hot glue and see if we could pull off the design. Now, the hot glue may or may not go down into the crevices. I don't know. Let me see, without touching the glue, if I can get anything going here. Well, that's still hot. This is on the higher of the two settings, so it gives me a slightly bit longer bit of time to try getting this on the mat. Switch hands and see if I can get it to go in one of these by bending the mold. See if that will encourage it to go into the crevices of that particular imprint or mold area. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work at all. And then real quick, we'll try the Starfish. This should work because it's a little bigger. Put this aside. All right. Now the thing I wanted to try with the green, okay, I wanted to see if I could use the green, metallic green glue as a form of sealing wax, which I love putting on letters. So I wanted to try it here. I have, again, done a little research, and it seems that it works best if you can cool the sealer, the seal part, off in between uses. So I'm going to put it here, and I'm also going to start by spraying it with some silicone mold release just to lubricate it a little. I'll put it there so it gets cold. Pipe out a rosette or a circle. I will pipe out a circle of about the size I want for the seal to sit in. Okay. And we'll put the seal. Wow, I need more coffee. Steady hand. There we go. Put the seal in the wax. Let it sit for a minute. Well, not a whole minute. Sit for a few seconds. This isn't, yeah, I read some reviews saying that this drips a lot, but it's not. There's a tiny little drip on the end of the nozzle there, but it's not cascading out like some reviewers implied. So that's fantastic. All right, this should just come right out now, and there it is. Jack-o'-lantern. And wait till this is dry. But then I can peel this off like I could with the, and I could use a little dab of hot glue to put this on the back of an envelope and seal a letter, or at the bottom of a piece of paper, or into a junk journal if I wanted to do that. All sorts of uses for this. Plus, you could do this right onto an envelope. Let me do that. All right, so we have this junk mail business reply envelope that I have no intention of using. I'm gonna put my seal back on the ice pack. So we'll pretend I put a letter in there and I'm sealing it to go out in the mail, which of course would take extra postage. Although this is a prepaid. Not very nice, wouldn't do that. Kind of funny. Okay, and I'm going to put my jack-o'-lantern on here and let it sit. In the meantime, let's see what our fondant mat turned out like. Oh yeah, good detail there. That worked. Cool. Get you close up. That worked quite well. What could you do with this? You could do strips of it and put it around a cup. You could do strips of it and put it in a junk journal. Just some embellishment, especially using some of these metallic waxes that you can get. I got this on Amazon, the green. It came in a package like this. Just make sure you get the right size for the glue gun you have. Oh, the size of this is, make sure I let you know in case the glue sticks are 0.42 to 0.45 inches in diameter. All right, that looks great. Perfect. I have some green glue still in there, so I am going to continue to do these. I'm going to do a bunch more of these until that runs out. We'll just use this up with it unplugged. Still coming out. So yeah, I would have to say that the cordless feature of this, while it clearly doesn't go infinitely, you are coasting to a situation where you'd have to plug it back in after a couple minutes, up to 5 or 6 minutes. If you start the high setting. This is really cool. This lasts, it works. I'm not getting any dripping. Just use the finger protectors they give you. And have fun with this. You can do embellishments, and of course for whatever else you might normally use it for. It's starting to harden up now. We may get this last stamp out of it. Okay. All right, I'm going to call it here. I will put all of our things together in one area so you can see what we did, and we'll go over what worked and what didn't. Oh, here. Let's check. This is our last thing to demold here. All right, well, that worked. There's a lot of flashing to this. But, you know, if you were going to put it on something and then glue it down, the flashing would be right on the surface and you could just paint over it. It probably wouldn't even show. And there's another little embellishment. All right, so to review, we got this great glue gun. That is my opinion. This is great. I really enjoyed using this. I didn't find it difficult at all. I don't have a lot of glue gun experience and it worked fine for me. I figured a couple of things out as we went. Remember to turn it off, although it's unplugged, so it's off anyway, technically. But if you ever wonder when it's plugged in, you can always see if either the red or the yellow light are on, then it's on and it's heating. I like the amount of action you got for the single pull of the trigger. So you can plug it in and heat it up and use it that way on 2 different settings. The high setting obviously gets you a much more liquid or fluid or runny glue that comes out, and that will allow you to do more intricate molds if you want to. If you have a mold that you can stretch apart so the liquidy glue goes right down into the crevices. You can use a fondant mat if you have one, and you can get some really cool textures. It works great as sealing wax. I mean, I just love this. I could use all of these now with no problem. Glue them onto anything, or do it directly onto whatever you want the seal to go on. You can do it on parchment paper or a silicone mat and then peel it off and attach it to something else. And a slightly bigger mold like this works perfectly. You get all the detail. It's fantastic. So I would have to say I'm very impressed. It's not a perfect way to replace resin, but in a pinch, if you need one thing, or you're out of sealing wax and you need to seal something, like your royal proclamation for the kingdom, you can use a glue gun. And you get a lot. All of this came out after I'd unplugged it. We heated it up, we put glue sticks in it, and I did all this after I unplugged the cord. So that's pretty darn impressive. It's not a pull out the cord and it shuts off immediately sort of thing. You can coast for quite a while. Thanks for joining me, folks. Again, links for everything I used here, that I can find a link for anyway, down in the description area. And please feel free to check these guys out. I really, really love this gun. Stay safe, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.